Welcome, friends. Welcome back to the kitchen. Now, today I had zero plan of being in the kitchen filming anything. My plan had been, we're like 3 days before Christmas at this point. My plan had been to just make a couple of soups and things that Julie and I could heat up over the Christmas holidays on days when we weren't feeling like cooking anything or we had to travel, and it would be nice just to have a little bit of soup before we left in the car to travel to friends and family. So I was going to make the ground beef and cabbage soup that you find elsewhere on the channel, and I'll link that to that below. Went to the grocery store to get some ground beef because I already had everything else that I need for the soup. And I saw that chicken thighs, bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs, were a third of the price of the ground beef. And I thought, well, yeah, I'll just make the same soup. I'll change the spicing. I'll use chicken stock instead of beef stock. I'll buy the chicken thighs and I'll chop them up into little pieces. Put the bones and the skin in a container in the freezer to make chicken stock for the next round. And we'll essentially make the same soup, except we'll make it completely differently. So that's what we're going to do. So in this pot, I'm heating up a little bit of oil, and we'll fry off the chicken. We're not going to get much color on it because it is skinless and boneless, but we'll just start the cooking process and see if we can get a little bit of color on the outside. There we go. And the heat doesn't have to be that high. I'm going to put a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper in there as well. Now, when I bought the chicken thighs, they come in a, big tray with a whole pile of thighs. More thighs than I needed for this dish. And it was still cheaper than the ground beef that I was going to buy. So some of the thighs I've portioned out, I've covered them in jerk marinade, put them in a container and frozen them so that Julie and I can have those a couple weeks from now. Pull them out and we'll grill them. So there you go. You're not going to get too much color on the outside of those chicken pieces, but we've got a good start. Next in, carrot, onion, and celery. We'll put those in and we'll just get them going until they've softened. And so next I'm going to put in some tomato paste. This is the wild card in this recipe. In the beef dish, in the ground beef and cabbage soup, tomato paste works perfectly. Not so sure about with chicken, but I'm going to give it a go anyway because I really like tomatoes in a lot of things. So I'm going to use about a half a can. For everyone who keeps telling me that I should get the tomato paste in a squeeze tube, it's far too expensive for me. We go through so much tomato paste. I used a half a can today in this soup, and by the end of tomorrow, the other half a can will be gone. And if the other half a can isn't gone, it'll go into the freezer and it'll be used next week. I go through so much tomato paste that buying it in a tube just doesn't make any sense to me. I would probably use a whole tube in this soup, so I'm going to get it in a can. Now, just going to stir that in, and we'll fry the tomato paste just to caramelize it a little bit. You see the color we're getting on the bottom of the pan? That's what I'm looking for. That's a lot of flavor. So, just enough to caramelize the sugars. And then in goes the cabbage. A little bit of rice. The rice is not strictly necessary. And the chicken stock. And just give this a really good stir, get it all mixed together, and scrape on the bottom of the pan to get some of that flavor into the soup. So you want to get the fond off the bottom, but don't worry about deglazing the pan, taking everything out and then deglazing it. This is going to simmer for about an hour. During that time, you're going to stir it 2 or 3 times. That fond is naturally going to come off the bottom of the pan and into the soup. It's not a big deal. Next thing, you want to flavor it. So, bay leaf right off the top. Bay leaf goes in. Now, in the ground beef version, I use things like cloves and a whole bunch of... Again, I'll put the recipe down below. For this, I'm going to use herbe de Provence. And herbe de Provence is a mixture of herbs and spices. It can be many different things. You probably have most of these herbs and spices in your spice cabinet, and I'll let you know down below what a good mix is for herb de Provence. This one's pretty good. I buy this at the grocery store. A lot of the mixtures have a flavor in it that I don't really like. This one has it, and that's the lavender. I'm not a huge fan of lavender, but there's not much lavender in this one. When you smell it, it's really close to poultry seasoning. So I'm going to put in about 1.5 teaspoons. I'll let this cook for about a half an hour. I'll come back and I'll taste it, and then I will adjust the salt, pepper, and the herb de Provence level to get it just right. So I'm going to bring this up to a simmer, put the lid on, and let it go for about an hour. Little bit of a gap on the lid. Okay, smells great. Looks fantastic. Let's see how it tastes.
Hey, Glenn.
Hey, Jules.
Hey, friends. Ah, soup. What a great choice for such a damp day.
Damp, cold day. It's one of those days. Tomorrow's going to be apparently absolutely horrible. And today is the shortest day of the year.
Oh, it is.
It is.
Happy
So,
solstice.
well, give it a go, Jules.
Okay.
Tell me what you think.
It looks hot. Mm-hmm. Only because it just came from the pot. I've learned my lesson.
I'm enjoying this.
That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. So that's the ground beef and cabbage soup that I normally make.
Okay, yeah, I see all the, with the exception of the ground beef, I see all the parts.
Subbed in chicken, changed the spicing to herb de Provence, made it more chickeny. Now,
That's pretty good.
filming this the week before Christmas, I understand there's a big turkey cooking event coming up.
Or ham, yeah.
Ham. Yeah. Okay, so
You're saying this could be a leftover soup?
this could be leftover turkey.
Well, yeah.
Same cooking method. You just don't need to fry the turkey like I fried the chicken. Just add the turkey in after you've fried or sauteed off the onion and the carrot. Throw the turkey chunks in, make the soup the rest of the way exactly the same. Turkey would work perfectly with this. Ham. There's better things to do with the ham.
Yeah.
Split peas. Anyway, so
Why'd you pick chicken?
it was a third of the price of ground beef today at the grocery store.
One too, that works.
Yeah. So
That's a good motivation for me.
I bought a big tray of it, and
Ooh, did you jerk some?
I jerked some.
Ah,
So
excellent.
thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.